What we did want to talk about is Google Now. My web history is turned off right now, but Google Now is amazing in terms of providing ready info. It knows a lot about you, is able to tell you in advance when you have to leave for a meeting. So, putting all of those things together, I probably want to go ahead and give Nexus a 11, but our rules will stick to 10. Apple, on the other hand, has tried. They've really tried. The home screen does bring up things, which I have none right now, so it's not bringing up anything. But it does bring up email. It does bring up calendar. It just the icons are not very clear, and it does not have weather display there. So I'll go ahead and give it a 6. We can always I'm open to your comments. Mention your comments at the bottom. It's debatable whether it's 6 or 7 or 8. It's just my opinion that I would go ahead and give it a 6. Moving on to our next item, which is camera and video chat. So from a specs perspective, we know this is 13 megapixel, we know this is 8 megapixel, we know this thing is 2 megapixel on the front, and this is 1.2 megapixel in the front. But let me tell you something, as I'm using it on a day-to-day basis, I find that Nexus definitely has better resolution. You take much better quality pictures with Nexus, but I end up using the camera from an iPhone way more because it's just faster. So here, so you notice how fast it is. A thing that you also have to keep in mind is iPhone tries to make things a little bit more easier and a little bit more user friendly. So HDR mode, for example, is in an auto setting. So you don't have to bother about switching it on and off. You just leave HDR auto when you'll be in a situation where HDR is required, wherein something's well lit in the foreground and the things that are dark in the background, or the reverse. Then it'll automatically go into HDR mode, where it'll take a couple of pictures or maybe a few pictures and then sandwich them together to make a final result for you. Does make for very good quality shots in dark light situations. Again, any situation where there's light and darkness both in the same shot. Now, when we look at Nexus, I remember my days of buying Nexus 5, and when I bought Nexus 5, it was perhaps the worst camera on the market, and then within a few months, magically, it became the best camera in the market. So my understanding is you buy Apple for the finesse of the product versus you buy Google for the hope. So let's quickly see how fast this would be. Now, one of the things that I like about Nexus is as you press the button, it grays out till the picture's taken. So there's no way that you're kind of like upset trying to press it again and again. It just blues out, and then when the picture's taken, then it becomes active again, so you know that you can take the next picture. Versus in case of Apple, we did not see that happening, so that's a minor enhancement that Apple might want to get into. And it'll be nice for that button to gray out. So see, I'm pressing it again and again, but it'll only take the picture when it's ready. So my second press this time did not result in a picture because it wasn't ready. It would be nice to have that button become active only when it's really ready to take a shot again. From a front perspective, the cameras are both fairly good quality. I've done a lot of Skype calling with the Apple device, and the video quality has been outstanding. So till we go ahead and see a lot of super high resolution displays and a lot more increased bandwidth on the cellular level, where they can actually transmit HD quality video simultaneously from like so many different sources on Skype and on Google Hangouts. Till then, I think the Apple iPhone 6 Plus has a very decent camera for its use. Before we switch off from the topic of camera and video chat, I just want to go ahead and show the capability in terms of HDR. So HDR is here. You can switch HDR off and you can switch HDR on. Anybody technical would love the capability of being able to do that. I know that when I was just starting off on Nexus, I was pretty upset that I could not turn on my flash. Little did I realize that my HDR was on, so I had to switch off HDR and then I could turn on flash, which you just noticed happened too. So, Apple, in my opinion, has lesser hardware specifications, but has done an overall better job in using those specifications to deliver a better quality camera experience to an end user. So my take on this is an iPhone gets 9 on camera. Why 9? Because I wish they could have done a little bit more with the button and bring the button and make it active only when it's actually ready to take a shot. And Nexus, I will go ahead and give it a conservative 7. Nothing wrong with it. It just would be nicer to have an HDR, which is automatic HDR, also as an option. Again, would be more effective to have a better color representation. So something that some viewers could probably even notice. The colors are a little off on the Nexus, and I believe that could be the screen and not the camera, but they just are a little different. The saturation is pretty high, but not very accurate reproduction of colors. How does that, some viewers would debate that I should count that more towards the display rather than the camera, and you may have a very valid point. I just think that while I'm taking a picture, I feel that some of the whites are not being very clearly represented, and to me, at that point, that's something that stops me from using that camera as much, and thereby I'll go ahead and put that as a negative in the camera. Because remember, we're talking about usability, how comfortable, how nice I feel using that rather than pure specification. Let's move on to the next topic of mail, calendar, contacts. Now, I have been a Gmail user, and before that, I was a Hotmail user, a Yahoo Mail user, a Lotus Notes corporate user. For a while, I was also a Microsoft Exchange user, and I remember the times when our admin would be running around in the office and saying, "Everybody take your cables out. Why there's a new virus floating around on Microsoft Exchange." Lotus Notes was phenomenal in terms of security, but had its own drawbacks in terms of speed, scalability. Having written a lot of code to help large organizations archive their Lotus Notes databases, I know it firsthand. But Google Mail is just amazing. And keeps getting better, which is astounding, right? It just keeps getting better and better. I don't think I could have managed my mail had I not had the capability of managing my promotion emails and my update emails and all of those things separately. And so purely from a mail perspective, you just cannot beat Google and the Nexus device. Now, as some of you would notice, I also have Gmail as my primary email set up on this device. The only concern here is it's just a little slow every time it tries to log in and then refresh, versus in case of Android, it's right there. So we'll launch it again, and guess if it's already there, already loaded, then it does not try to log in again. But usually I find that when I'm opening mail, it's trying to log in and figure out stuff before it brings stuff down. But as long as, in my opinion, you're using the Gmail application and not using the built-in, and built-in I've put it in extras, built-in mail application, you should be just fine. Again, if you're a light user of email, this built-in mail application would be probably really awesome for you. It also takes multiple of your mailboxes and puts it together in this all mailboxes. But if you're a heavy user of mail like I am, you will find Gmail absolutely indispensable because of its ability to segregate all your items and allow you to tackle only the important items that you want to tackle and not waste your time on other things. We talked about having some stuff coming up on the home screen, and I hoped as well that it should have come up on home screen now, because I heard a sound which said that it brought in more email. It's unfortunate that it did bring in more email, and I see the count's gone up, but it hasn't reflected that on my home screen. Let's talk now a little bit about calendar and contacts. Calendar and contacts are both fairly simple and fairly easy in case of both of these applications.